All right. Now, I had spoken earlier on my story that I had a theory, a very difficult theory that I was trying to come up with. But I've been seeing a lot of things throughout the hobby right now that has kind of brought this theory to a point to where, how's it going? A point to where I feel like I need to get it out there before everybody else starts doing this. Let's see. We're going to wait a little bit and see if we get a few other people in here. Thinking about putting in this theory, but I'm not sure if I want to do it here or if I want to do it in a video. So we'll wait a second and see if anybody else comes in. If not, we'll do the video. How's it going? We're just waiting to see if anybody else shows up. But also at the same time, I'm contemplating on whether this is actually going to be a live video that I should do this under or if I should record it. But if I do it live, then I can kind of get it out there and you'll know that it's 100% and it's not me editing a bunch of stuff. So we're going to wait a little bit, and while we're waiting, just start talking about a few things that are going on right now. I took a little bit of a break because it seemed like everybody and their mom had all the theories and information about what was going on in the hobby right now, and it feels like there's an oversaturation of talking heads out there. And then Topps Chrome football came out and Topps Bowman basketball came out, and that kind of just took all of the wind out of the sails. So I wanted to take a break because everybody was putting stuff out about all of those products. And so I have yet to get any of those products for a few reasons, and super expensive. And the place that I work at just found out that they have it, so might be going to grab some of those. But I had a theory that I wanted to talk about, and that theory is based on, let's see, I'm passing on both of them. Yay. I completely agree with you. The only reason why I'm looking at grabbing some of them is because I work at a location that actually carries trading cards, and they have them at a reasonable price, which makes it way easier. So just to let you know, check your local Best Buy. If you happen to be near a Best Buy never sells it based off of what the market says. Best Buy sells it based off of what they want as a retail product. So I think when I was there, I was checking on it, and the Best Buy that I live by was selling it for $37. And the craziest thing is there's somebody in there. I'm not going to give all the details and everything about it, but a guy had about 80 of them. Oh, Best Buy tonight. Did you happen to find anything over there? Because depending on the Best Buy you live by, some of them are going to get product. And the guy that I just happened to be, I work in the back, so I just happened to see an order, and somebody had ordered 80 boxes of that. Oh, hey, there you go. Did you end up picking up any, or you just kind of pushed that along and just kind of said, nah, I'm good? But the guy had ordered 80 boxes, 80 value boxes of Topps Chrome football, which I thought was very crazy. It's a very expensive purchase for none of the major hits to be inside of it. oh well, if it's there next week, I might grab it. If it's not, then it wasn't meant to be, which I have a feeling is probably not going to be meant to be once people start realizing that it's actually over there. But yeah, there's plenty of places that you can check. A lot of places, just grab one box. Hey, one box is good. There's nothing wrong with that. I didn't grab any. I should have grabbed them. I probably should have been like, hey, so let me grab this real quick. But I kind of floated it by because I'm kind of going on a, if it's there, it's meant to be. And if it's not, then I definitely don't need to put myself in that position. But I also can order it if they still have it available on there. But a lot of people went crazy for Topps Chrome Football when you can check these retail places. And even if you don't get the big hits that have already pretty much been found by every breaker and like a couple of, people who randomly pulled those hits, you're still at least getting something. And as a collector, I just wanted to get them because I thought maybe some of the smaller ones I could pull in. But who knows? We'll take a look and see what happens in that sense. But since we're already this far in, I got that for sure. I go off those vibes as well. Exactly. Like, I like how people get that FOMO and want to be the first in line for everything when we already know who's first in line for it. It's not us collectors. It's not us buying the retail boxes. The people who are first in line are the breakers, and the people who are first in line are the hobby shops or the card shops that are bending the knee to Topps and Fanatics. And we're going to get the scraps. So when they said that we weren't going to be seeing any of the Kaiju or the Tecmo cards inside of the value boxes, I thought, well, then what are you guys giving us? Maybe a couple autographs of some players that probably won't pan out, maybe. Or you might find some players that are legends, or maybe even some, like I think Tom Brady, one of the Tom Brady cards might have gotten pulled from a value box, but who knows? I try to keep track of as much as I can, but with so much social media craziness, a lot of the times I miss out on who's gotten what and what people have picked. And so I'm hoping that somebody comes up with a way of tracking this, which, hey, might be my next venture. Who knows? I might be looking into something like that just because it would be helpful to just keep track of those and let people know what's been picked already and why the market should drop at this point, because all of the hits are gone. We shouldn't be selling anything over, like, as the hits start to come out, I feel like we should be dropping the price on all product. Doesn't matter what it is. If we start seeing the hits, the big cards start going, there's no reason to chase it, and there's no reason for them to be charging as much as they do. And they do. But I'm hoping that I can come up with a way of kind of knocking that into the world and letting people know that that's something that should happen. But since we've already gone this far in, might as well just throw my theory out there. So I've been doing a little bit of research, and I've had this theory for quite some time now about Fanatics and their play on everything. Few people have been going in hard on PSA, and I understand PSA has made their mistakes. They've got their issues. They've done it to me, and I have my experience with PSA. I have no hard feelings about not getting the job. I have more hard feelings about the reason why I didn't get the job, one, and two, the fact that they've been pretty much throwing all kinds of stuff out at people. And we're getting a lot of negative remarks from them because they've been messing up, which I have a theory about that, which will be part of all of this. But my whole thing with Fanatics right now is that I see them playing this long con. So Fanatics had acquired Topps. Once they acquired Topps, they started to put out more products. They started to raise the price a little bit on products. Then they thought, well, we have Fanatics, so why not have Fanatics Live? So they bought what was Fanatics Collect, which used to be, what was it, PWCC? So now you have Fanatics Collect, which is kind of a similar thing to eBay. So now you've just cornered that market. Or not cornered it, but you put your play out there in that market. And then you have Fanatics Live, which Fanatics Live is now your Whatnot type of option. And nobody is saying anything negative about Fanatics Live, but Whatnot is getting torn asunder. Like, there will be nothing but ash left over because Whatnot doesn't know how to police their people, nor do they know how to work a business, apparently, because they keep doing all kinds of bad stuff or allowing the bad people to be on there, which is ruining the things for the breakers that are actually legit, which is unfortunate. But you've got eBay Live. A lot of people are shifting over to that, and a lot of people are shifting over to Fanatics Live, which most of the people who shifted over to Fanatics Live are the ones that are getting most of the product, if you really look at it. I hopped into a few breaks just to kind of look at the room, and just by looking at the room, I could see that these guys were breaking 10, 20 cases of Topps Chrome football, or 8 cases of Topps Chrome football Breakers Delight, which is supposed to be the big hits for a lot of the breakers. So you've got Fanatics owning Topps, Fanatics Live, Fanatics Collects, and now you've got like Fanatics Betting, which if you have the Fanatics app, you get pretty much all of that encompassed in one. And it talks about how you can invest $5 and get like $50 back for Fanatics stock or whatever the heck it is. They've got a really crazy thing going on with them, but they've cornered a lot of the stuff. They've built it real quietly, real slowly, but nobody's saying anything negative about it. Seems like everybody is talking negative about Whatnot, talking negative about PSA, talking negative about Panini, which Panini shot themselves in the foot. That's their own problem. So from Fanatics, Fanatics Live, that's why I wanted to start selling singles. I've had worse experience on there than Whatnot. Loving your take. Okay, see, so a lot of Fanatics Live, what I also saw is that if you're a big name breaker and you're somebody who pretty much pays as much money as you possibly can to getting the Fanatics products, mainly the Topps products, obviously, they're going to give you as many windows as possible. So if you go to Fanatics Live right now, some of the top guys you'll see who have more than enough shows. Filth Bomb, one of the big companies that has like 1 million windows on there. You can't open that page without seeing Filth Bomb being just breaking everything. And they're breaking it, and it doesn't seem like it's even affecting them in any way. Like, selling singles on Fanatics Live is tough, I feel, because if you're not spending the money to get the product from them, they're not worried about you selling your singles. They're not going to push you as hard. But if you're spending your money, which there was a leak not too long ago of a list of people who've had meetings with the top brass of Fanatics, and you're seeing a lot of those guys who are breakers and a lot of those guys who are stores that we now rely on as our option to buy all of our products from, like Dave and Adams or Steel City. Steel City does breaking. I think Dave and Adams is breaking as well. And you'll see them as some of the bigger names that are on Fanatics Live. And the money that they spend towards that gets them the most viewership, gets them the most eyes on them. And you'll see that a lot. So next time you're in Fanatics Live, just take a peek at all the people who are throughout there. So back to my theory. Fanatics is pretty much collecting everything that they need to create the best ecosystem for them possible. So they have something to combat with eBay Live and Whatnot. They have something to combat with eBay. They have something to combat with having their own card company with Topps. So Fanatics is slowly building up this chain, this ecosystem for themselves. Fanatics Fest. What was the biggest card show that everybody talked about before Fanatics Fest? The National. The National, everybody had like nothing but positive things to say for it. They were constantly talking about, you need to go to the National. The National is one of the best card shows. It had its hiccups. It made its mistakes, but everybody was saying, the National is where you should go. Everybody went to the National. All of a sudden, Fanatics Fest shows up. Nobody wants to go to the National anymore. And they want to go to Fanatics Fest because Fanatics Fest has placated to the breakers. They've placated to the people who are spending the most money for Topps and everything else. They've decided that they were going to go with the people that had the money, which, that's probably the easiest way that they could go about things. So now you have Fanatics, Fanatics Live, Fanatics Collect, Fanatics Fest. Fanatics owns Topps. Fanatics owns licensing for every sport for the most part, with the exception of WNBA, NASCAR, college basketball, and they still make college basketball cards, so it's not like that really matters. I don't think there's one sport. Okay, sorry, hockey and golf. They don't make cards for, because Upper Deck was smart and kept those as long as they possibly could. And you're never going to see a Jordan card in a Topps product because Upper Deck's already got that market covered. So we never going to see that over in Topps unless Topps does something miraculous to where they can spend that money. So my theory on this is that Fanatics is playing the long con. They're going to collect everything slowly. They're going to have people out there who are going to say things about all of the other companies that affect the area of their ecosystem. So we got a lot of people who are saying a whole bunch of negative things about Whatnot, but then I get a lot of people who are just like, I haven't had a bad experience on Whatnot, hence, as you were saying there, and that Whatnot has actually been better than Fanatics Live. So I'll admit, I haven't really had a bad experience on Whatnot. I feel like Whatnot was a little bit easier to kind of navigate, and also that with Whatnot, you found the people that were actually trying to sell for the hobby and not sell for the love of the business of the hobby. So Fanatics is at a point right now where they have two things that they're missing. And I don't think anybody else is really paying attention to this, but they do have a partnership with CGC. I don't know if that's still intact. I know 2024 they had one. And also, they don't have somebody who does comps. So, if you don't know, Collectors, who is the umbrella company for PSA, SGC, BGS, WADA, they do coin grading, and also they have Card Ladder under their umbrella. So you've got the company that grades the cards and the company that comps the cards all under the same umbrella. So who's making these prices and how are they making the prices what they are? Well, but tinfoil hat thought right here is that the people who are on the higher up, who are willing to spend the money, are the ones that are doing the high-end bids and making all of these prices super fluctuated. So the Jordan rookie cards, the seeing Mr. Wonderful and that card there, they're building that market. The whole shill building thing, that kind of led to all this buildup of how these prices of cards and everything were put out there. Because I guarantee that people who are collectors, who are collecting these products and who are selling them at the National as singles, aren't the ones that are spending millions of dollars to get these high-end cards and boost the market in 10x. Which that was the biggest sign to me that things were going to change, is when people were automatically saying, we're going to 10x the hobby. We're going to 10x the hobby. I was like, at that point, you're not 10xing a hobby. You're 10xing the business of the hobby. So the hobby is slightly dead for some. For me, I don't feel like it's dead because I still do my collecting on my end, and that's that. But back to what I was saying. Fanatics is missing a company that gives them the comps for different cards. Well, Fanatics is based out of the East Coast, if I'm not mistaken. And the only person that I can think of that would be a part of something like that, that is why a lot of tension has built between them, Market Movers. Market Movers has to be the next thing that Fanatics comes at and decides they either going to partner with them or they're going to buy that whole program and make it to where that they have a company that gives them the comps for cards. So Market Movers just did an update, and with their update, you can comp raw cards, you can comp graded cards. So you've gotten this now big extension of what you can do with your program out of nowhere, right after the Topps conference. So you get this huge extension of what you can do with this program. Nobody's really talking about what's happening on that side of things. People are using Card Ladder. You're seeing a lot more people starting to use Market Movers. It's slowly starting to build into that. I actually saw somebody who was talking about comps for cards and saying, oh yeah, I'd use Market Movers for that. But I have a feeling that Topps is going to make a move towards Market Movers, and that might be the reason why there's so much tension and the reason why Ryan probably left. because it was probably something that he didn't agree with, and he decided to step away. Now, if it's something personal, this is all just speculation. If it's something personal, I do apologize. I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to throw that out there, but I really do feel like Topps Fanatics is making a move towards getting a company that is going to comp their cards for them, and they're not going to try to make it themselves. They're going to buy somebody out and move that into that level. So then that would mean that Cards HQ and some of the other companies would either bend the knee to them so they can get more product. And so since they'll be getting more product, that just means that they'll be breaking more product. And if you look at some of the leaked information, they actually specified the people who were actually breakers and going live, and the people who own shops, and the people who did pretty much everything along those lines. Have you heard of Hobby Monitor? I'd love to hear your take on them. I have heard of Hobby Monitor, and I did try to work their app, and it didn't really make any sense. But what I'm going to do is do a little bit more research, and I will give a take on that for sure. I'll rerun the app and see how that works out. But I've heard of them, and I was very, oh no, you don't need to correct. I understand what you were saying. That's no worries, but I appreciate it. I'm not the grammar police. I'm not, I won't tease you for that. That's not that big of a deal to me. I understood where you were going with that, but I do appreciate you adding that. But Hobby Monitor, yeah, I want to take a look at them because I remember first seeing them, and when I was researching them, I didn't have a whole lot of information. Yeah, no worries. But yes, I will do some research and I will do a video on them because I want to understand it more. I don't understand how their app works, and a lot of the information that they have on their app is almost verbatim to a few other apps. But I'm gonna take a look and see a little bit more about that one. But Fanatics trying to build a grading, not grading, but a app that does comps for them. So you figure they have Fanatics Collect. They already have the information based on the cards that are sold through Fanatics Collect. There you go. All you do is just get a company that's able to read the other companies like eBay and everything else and how they sell their cards, and then just add Fanatics Collect into there, and you've got your whole thing. Now, in Fanatics Collect, they do have a section where you can do comps. So hell, they might even already have that. So they've already met that mark, or they want something that's going to be a little bit more on its own, like a few of the other things that they have. Theory, I feel like this is the direction that they're going in, so we'll see what happens. Now, the next thing that I think is going to happen with their partnership with CGC, I don't think CGC is going to sell to Fanatics, but I think they'll still continue that partnership. But I think after this lawsuit that Collectors is going through with PSA and with SGC and BGS, if they get dismantled and Collectors has to give up SGC or BGS, I think Fanatics will make a play towards one of those two companies. Because PSA, or Collectors, I should say, has knocked those companies down to a level to where the value of those companies may not even be worth it for them to even hang on to with whatever they've done. So now, if they lose those two companies, I have a feeling that Fanatics is going to take a shot at it. They'll either go for BGS, which is going to have all of its lineage, and you're going to have people who are going to say, hey, I remember when Beckett was a certain way. Once we saw Collectors purchase Beckett, we all got up in arms. If you've been in the hobby or any hobby for the longest time, you'll know that Beckett was like the standard. You go in, you got the Beckett magazine, you got the different books and everything that would tell you each sport and what the price of those cards were. Beckett was the standard, and then PSA came along and did whatever they did. But if Fanatics was smart and they decided they were going to go for a grading company, Beckett would be it. There's no reason for them to go to SGC. SGC should stay on its own thing. They did an amazing job, but Beckett would be it, because guess what? You bring in the nostalgia of all of these national fans who were probably using Beckett as their standard for grading. It makes total sense for them to do that, because they can get all of those old timers who did a lot of grading with BGS. And let's see, I look back at now. I need tips on getting PSA 10s. Like the breakers, I have the 9s covered. Hey, I'm still trying to figure out how to get PSA 10s. I have a batch of cards that I already know the numbers to, but I'm going to do a reveal for everybody, hopefully next week. I sent some cards in back. This is the story about the cards I sent in July. My LCS ended up losing, or not losing them, but he ended up forgetting to turn them in because some things had happened with his store. And when he finally got them turned in, they said May was going to be the time of when I got them back, and this was back in February. He actually already got the cards in. So I stopped in the other day and took a look. Microscope works, yes. I stopped the other day to take a look and see what those cards were. Saw the grades. Very disappointed, but I'm going to reveal those to everybody soon. This lamp is no longer available, just to let you guys know. Harbor Freight might have more at other locations, but I did find other lamps that I'm going to post that you could use that are along the same lines, and they also attach to your desk, which makes it really easy and convenient for you to be able to take a look at your cards and get more detail into it. This one has a magnifying glass on the top of it with the light. If you saw the video that I did with Boston Card Hunter, this one's an awesome lamp. I'm keeping it because even though it's already broken, I taped it back up just because I had it at the right angle of where I wanted it at. I'm still keeping that one. I might not move to another one. Might get another one just for fun. But yeah, getting those 10s, that's another thing. How is it that a lot of these people are getting PSA 10s? Obviously, they're either getting cleaning companies to do that. I need to get a new one. Mine must have defects. It might be the little things that you miss. You know, I've made mistakes as well. There's been plenty of cards that I've graded that I thought would have been way better, but I ended up seeing that there are little issues. So now I'm taking even more detail into looking at my cards and looking at some of the deeper things that are in there. Yeah, so BGS becomes part of Fanatics. Fanatics gets Beckett. Fanatics drags in all of the Beckett loyalists, which, don't get me wrong, like I said, Beckett was the standard. Now, the one thing that they do to try to combat against PSA, pricing and turnaround times. Beckett has always had the same price and same turnaround times. I don't think they ever went up in price for any of their stuff. If Fanatics was smart, buy Beckett, make Beckett your number one grading company for your industry, for your company. The whole ecosystem is completely covered. I don't think they have anything that they would be missing. You take Beckett, you make the pricing reasonable, you do the turnaround times and make those reasonable. You've taken out PSA. Beckett becomes the standard once again. You've got Fanatics that is giving the nostalgia to everybody of like, Beckett was the best. I remember when I was younger, Beckett was the book that I used to read. And I'm pretty sure that they've got guys who are working in their offices right now who are doing that exact thing right now. If that happened, they're unstoppable. Unless some sort of thing comes out about white parties that Michael Rubin has been to, or something crazy comes up, PSA is pretty much toast. Fanatics, unstoppable. What do? Fanatics Fest. Hey, we've got our Beckett grading wall. We're going to get everybody in here. We're going to do the whole thing. PSA, you'll be allowed to be there, but we're not going to give you a whole lot of space. We're going to be pushing Beckett. It's a no-brainer. My theory is that right now they have people who are tearing down everything that is not Fanatics and boosting up everything that is Fanatics by telling all of their people who are partners and everything else, hey, go out there, do what you do. Influencers are saying, oh man, the prices of Crops Chrome football isn't that expensive. Everybody's going to be fine. We're going to get you this stuff. But I was seeing a lot of the bigger stores that weren't getting any of the supplies. Burbank Sports Cards, store I frequent a lot more than I probably should. They had a very limited amount. You can go back and look at some of their videos. The way they were talking about it is they were going to be opening up the boxes and you'd pay less. But if you wanted the box sealed, you were paying whatever they had it at market. So it could be a difference of, I think it was like a difference of like $600, if I wasn't mistaken. About $400 to $600 was the difference. So you got all these influencers Oh, I'd love to go to their place. Looks amazing. Oh, dude, if you ever get an opportunity to go, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where you live. Not making any assumptions of like, why haven't you gone yet? If you ever come out to California and you make a trip down to Southern California, that should be one of the few places you go to besides Disneyland and Universal Studios. Like, it falls in that same realm. Okay, question. Also, if I'm commenting too much, just let me know. Of course, no. There's no too much commenting or anything. I enjoy the comments, and I enjoy being able to give like feedback or like speaking to it. So no worries. But I've heard more negative things about Fanatics Fest versus the National. I wonder if it depends on where you live. Okay, so my take on the Fanatics Fest versus the National thing. The National, been around forever. It's kind of like Comic-Con. It's one of those events where people go to it and they know that what they're going to get is what's at the National. Not many changes have happened. Like, I think slight tweaks have happened, and they've kind of advanced in the technology of things. Fanatics Fest. Fanatics Fest is literally a festival for fans. They didn't have as many tables their first year. They had like one small section with a bunch of tables and everything. And people complained about Fanatics Fest because they thought it was going to be a trading card event when really it was just a festival. It was like a Comic-Con. Comic-Con back in the day used to be, you go there, you met comic book artists, you met the people who created the comics, and you got to interact with those people and buy comic books. Comic-Con now has turned into every company in the industry is there. They do this big festival of like their movies, their video games, and everything else that's going out. When Comic-Con first started, it was in like a little hall, and it wasn't as like big as it was. But now they had to advance with the times, and they started to pick up a lot more people who were promoting different things. So the National is that way. The National is that nostalgia of like, you're going to see your legendary baseball players. You're going to buy cards from vendors who have probably been there for like the last 20 years. Guys who were probably selling singles, and it wasn't about the hype of everything. Fanatics Fest is literally, you're going there to meet the new age professional wrestlers, and you're going to meet professional athletes, and you're going to meet the friends of Michael Rubin pretty much. And the reason why a lot of people complain about Fanatics Fest is because they thought it was a trading card event, when really it's literally a fest for fanatics. It's literally people who love these players, and you get an opportunity to see them and see them perform and do like different little events and whatnot, and all the influencers jump in. And that was pretty much the whole thing with Fanatics Fest. That's why a lot of people looked at it and thought, oh, this is not a card show. This wasn't meant for the card dealers. This wasn't meant for people who are in the collection. This is meant for the people who are looking to spend money to meet the celebrities and everything. I'm from San Diego, living in Detroit now. Totally get what you're saying, and I'm still wondering if it's a regional thing, because a lot of the kids West card shows have those things as well. Yeah, there's a lot of festival of things out here that do that. I think West Coast Card Show. Oh, what's good, man? Hey, what's going on, man? Yeah, just trying to put some things out there that had come to mind. I had just talked about a theory of how Fanatics is eventually going to have a grading company, and how Fanatics is eventually going to have a company that does their comps for them. Granted, Fanatics Collect, I believe, has a little section in there that gives the comps of what they sold. But I have a feeling like Market Movers is going to end up moving into a Fanatics realm. And I also feel like there is going to be, once this lawsuit with collectors, this is just a theory. Like, I have a feeling, because they're an East Coast company, and Jeff Wilson is drinking that Fanatics Kool-Aid, and he's selling tops like it's going out of style. I have a feeling that Market Movers is going to be that company that ends up joining forces with them. And I think that's why a lot of the drama had occurred, which is my whole theory. That's all I'm thinking. If it comes to fruition, then hey, call me Nostradamus. But until then, I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket. This is all just a theory. And I thought that once the lawsuit with PSA with collectors blows over, if they have to disband that company, then they're going to end up probably taking a shot at getting Beckett. Fanatics will probably do that. And Fanatics will probably make it the whole, hey, this is your grandfather's company. This is the nostalgic company. This is the company that you used to use as a kid. when you would when you went into the price of your cards. And they're going to use that nostalgia factor to drag more people back over to Fanatics. That's my whole theory behind that in a nutshell. Just the breakdown of like how I'm seeing the different things with Fanatics and how they're working through and the little things that they're doing. That is kind of, it's getting me to the point to where I'm like, they're going to build the monopoly without anybody knowing it, but it's going to be done the smart way instead of how I feel Collectors did it, where they went after everything to stop everybody else from getting anything because they felt like somebody was growing too big and they were eventually going to get pushed out. So I don't believe PSA will go away, but I do believe Collectors is going to lose some things in this lawsuit. And I believe SGC is going to go back to its own thing. I believe that Beckett is going to end up either being purchased by Fanatics, or I doubt CGC will ever sell themselves out like that. I don't think they would ever go with Fanatics because I feel like they do their own thing and they do it very well. And they're at a level to where they don't really need anybody else to get them to that point. The more Pokemon cards we see, the more grading through them they're going to see. And so that was my whole theory in the beginning and how I was explaining. But the difference, I think we were talking about the difference between, West Coast shows. West Coast shows do it. We have a lot of places that do that as well. I also think Beckett gets purchased by Fanatics, but that's my hobby theory. That's where I'm at. I really think that this situation with Collectors is going to lead to them saying, you just monopolized the grading industry. No more. We're not allowing it. Here's what's going to happen. You need to remove the two companies that you bought. SGC will go back to its own thing. Beckett will get bought by Fanatics, and Fanatics will drag all of those the nostalgic feelings of like the Beckett magazine and everything else back into there, because Michael Rubin and those guys are smarter than that. They know how to market to the right people. Right now, they're marketing to the younger crowd so they can bring them in, because they know that if they can grab those kids that watch iShow Speed and Drewski and all those other guys, they've already got the kids in the pocket. So now once they've got that money, they're going to end up putting that money towards their parents. And what they're going to do is pull that nostalgia of, hey, we need to get the market of guys in their 40s and up to come back to our things. Beckett will be it. There's no reason for them to buy SGC or anything like that. If you remember, Southern Hobby's parent company owned Beckett. Fanatics couldn't buy it because they have a lawsuit with Southern Hobby. But, okay, so they couldn't buy Beckett because they had the lawsuit with Southern Hobby, but now Beckett is under Parents Corporation. Is under a parent corporation of Collectors. I don't think there's going to be, they're not going to have any hold. Like, there's no way that they're not going to be able to do it. Now that they're past all of that, they should be able to slide in and take that. Tops in the Shadows. Like, we got a monopoly on licensing and relevance. See, I don't think people are paying too much attention to the licensing anymore because the product is pushing out that view of it. There's a few people who are looking at it, but I really don't think that they're looking at the licensing so thoroughly. Like, I really feel like people are looking at it from the perspective of, oh yeah, Panini did horrible with those things. Now we want Topps to take it back, and the stuff that they're putting out and the people that are marketing for them with these influencers and everybody, they're not even thinking about the licensing. There's a few people like myself and maybe a few people like yourselves who are thinking about the licensing, and that licensing theory that they're going to corner the market in that. They still need to get WNBA. They need to get NHL. They need to get LIV, or even just the PGA. They need to get NASCAR, which they're not going to get NASCAR because, one, I don't think Topps can even promote NASCAR any better than anything else. On top of Upper Deck having NASCAR and Jordan being an owner of a NASCAR team, prepare yourself. NASCAR is going to get a bump because I bet you if Upper Deck is smart, they'll sign a contract and have Jordan sign NASCAR cards. I'm putting it out there right now. With all the wins that are going on, if they can get Jordan to sign NASCAR cards and also be part of the NASCAR boxes, NASCAR is going to be the next thing. Another theory that I just thought about, it's going to be crazy. I feel like that's going to be it because every single win, who's not going to capitalize on something like that? That's just like not capitalizing on somebody winning the NBA championship. That's not like Topps getting all of those players who win the NBA championship this year to sign a card that they can promote or sign a box that they can promote like they did with Ohtani when he broke the 50-50. It all writes itself, and all these people are probably sitting around thinking about what to do, and they're not thinking about these things. They're thinking about how can we capitalize on making more money off of people. Jordan Auto NASCAR is a smart move, and Upper Deck has a few of those. See? Jordan cards in NASCAR, you know how much those would sell? Those would outsell any of the top products. Period. I'm saying that right now. There will be Jordan cards in NASCAR. Somebody's going to do it. If they could reel in more big F1 money on cards, shoot. Dude, they already are going to reel in more big money for F1 cards. When you look at Lewis Hamilton, Card Culture by Lewis Hamilton is going to be coming. You know who's going to be doing that? The guys who created Card Vault. First store is going to open up in Frankfurt, Germany, and it's going to be Card Culture by Lewis Hamilton. He's going to be the Tom Brady of Europe. So they're going to just blow up all those stores over there. F1 is going to take off. If we can get it in America and people start watching it a little bit more and start getting into it as much as they have, and it just increases, we're going to see it even bigger here. And I'm pretty sure Card Vault and Card Culture are going to probably work together, and you're going to see more football over there, and you're going to see more F1 over here. Now they can, with it being owned by SGC, exactly. They'll be able to, what we're talking about, SGC by collectors owning Beckett. This will make it an opportunity for Fanatics to be able to buy Beckett. There you go. We agree. Let me be serious. I also agree. That makes sense. Thank you so much. This is what I think about when I'm not recording. I'm just sitting back here thinking of different theories that could possibly happen and how things are already working out. Not just licensing, but the work that has to be put into credible. It's super hard to do. So many people thinking PSA is king. Beckett was credible and the easy choice. Exactly. Beckett's only problem was they didn't get out of their own way by making their prices affordable for people. They stuck to the letter of the law for them, and they didn't make any changes. If PSA would have, or not PSA, if Fanatics buys them, I guarantee the first thing they're going to do is say, we're going to compete pricing with PSA. And in competing the pricing with PSA, we're going to make it to where we're cheaper and our turnaround times are going to be faster. And I guarantee you will see Beckett locations either in some of the bigger stores. So you're probably going to end up seeing like Card Vault end up being teamed up with Beckett. What kind of ideal would that be? You've got Tom Brady's Card Vault and Beckett all in one. There's so much money to be made in this. There's probably guys, like I said, right now sitting in a room who are really thinking about this and are trying to figure out the best way of going about it. If anybody else has any connections with any of those people, let them know, because I'm willing to give them all these ideas. They need Verstappen. I can't take anyone dating a Kardashian seriously anymore. Neither can I. I live in LA. Anybody who I run into that has ever come in contact with a Kardashian, I laugh at. Let's see. I want to see a Topps Pokemon collab again. I don't want to see that because I know that Topps will end up turning the Pokemon thing on its head, and it will kill the TCG for everybody else. We'll if they do a collab, that'd be nice, but I don't want to see them buy them. Or a collab would be great, don't get me wrong, but those things would sell out, and then there would be something ridiculous online, and most of us wouldn't be able to get that. And I agree. I'd like to see it too, but I feel like they're going to make it to where it'll be virtually impossible for any collector to be able to get those. When I hear Beckett, I think vintage. If they turn that thinking into modern as well, then they're clutch. Exactly. When you hear Beckett, you think of vintage card grading. You think of vintage pricing. You think of vintage everything. TCG, I don't think they're going to touch a TCG. I think they'll avoid that, but they've got V-Friends. Which, if I give you my theory on that thing, I'm so over that. That's the Sesame Street of trading cards. If actually I'm insulting Sesame Street by saying that. I do apologize. But no, back to the Beckett, I think vintage thing. Yes, Beckett shows you that it's like everybody grew up with Beckett. Anybody who is in the hobby on any level knows Beckett. It was the cornerstone of looking for pricing. My dad used to show me Beckett books. Like my grandfather would take me to card shops, and I remember seeing Beckett magazines telling me the prices of cards, and I would look up my old, 1980s baseball cards, which were part of the junk wax era, and try to figure out if they were worth anything, and they'd be worth nothing, and I'd be like, okay, well, Beckett's telling me that they're not worth anything, so that's what I stood by. And then you got all these other companies that started coming out with their pricing and everything, and then COVID happened and Gary V happened, and yeah, that's a whole other story that I'll touch on when it comes to the V friends. But yeah, it wants to be Sesame Street. Exactly. Like the one guy that sits there and tells people how they should quit their job, go to thrift stores and garage sales for 52 weeks and you'll make $100,000. Now, I don't know if somebody edited that and I missed the message inside of there, but that sounds bananas. Anybody who's done that, please reach out to me and let me know. I'd like to ask you how you did it and if it involved money laundering or purchasing some sort of or involving yourself in some sort of criminal activity, because that sounds crazy. Yes, also it shows our ages. I still buy Beckett magazine, just bought a few last week. Yeah, I'm not even going to talk about that. I'll be 42 this year, and Beckett was like everything when I was younger. Much love, really got to run. Keep doing content. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thanks for popping in. I appreciate you coming in here at least. Enjoy the rest of your evening, depending on how late and where you're at. Because right now it's 6:48 where I'm at. I'm on the West Coast. But yeah, that's pretty much my theories on everything. If anybody listening out there who happens to see this video, I'm going to post like little snippets of it and let people know what I'm thinking about this. And heck, I might even just send it off to Fanatics and be like, hey guys, I bet you're not thinking of these things, because you've got the ravings of a madman who's sitting here with all of his trading cards out in front of him, constantly going through and racking his brain about different methods on how to create a better hobby. But it also creates the worst hobby possible by coming up with these theories, because they're gonna exploit a lot of stuff. And it can be good and it can be bad. And I feel like there's a possibility, if they do it right and they do it where it's working towards the fans and it's working toward the collectors and it's working towards the breakers and it's working towards the sellers, and everybody can live under the same umbrella. There's no reason why we can't. But we also need to monitor like the grading process and monitor the comps and monitor the selling, because these rich people are definitely working it out to where they're bidding with each other. A bunch of private bids are going out there. I think you're onto something. Thank you. I appreciate that. Like I wish I was sitting here thinking of something crazier that doesn't seem logical, but I work in logic throughout my whole life. Everything, doesn't matter what it is. And logically, I feel like this is all something that could possibly happen. And if it did happen, or if it does happen, you'll you've heard it here first. And everybody else is gonna probably catch the little bits of it. And you've had Jeff Wilson make his theories of like CGC and Fanatics joining forces, and I don't see that. I think now that there's a possibility that they can get Beckett, they're gonna do it. I feel like once this whole thing, this lawsuit with collectors goes through, they're gonna get disbanded. They're gonna lose Beckett. They're gonna lose SGC. Collectors is gonna just be like, forget it. We're just going to stick with being PSA and doing the little things that we did. We flew too close to the sun, and now we're just going to go back to the way we were doing things. We're going to price everything within a reasonable price range, but then they're going to have to compete with Fanatics, because now that which information that I did not know, thank you, about how they couldn't get Beckett because of their lawsuit with, what was it, Sports Hobby? Or what was it? Southern... Oh, wow. I'm trying to look and see back what that information was. But because of the lawsuit with the company who had owned Beckett, they hadn't had an opportunity to try to buy Beckett. Now that Beckett is now going to be free of all of that, Fanatics there's no way that they don't take advantage of that. Like, if they don't, that'd be the silliest thing. If they tried to come up with their own grading company, that is going to cost them so much more money than they need to even spend. They could get a company that's already doing grading and make $1 billion easily within the first year, because you're gonna get those guys who are gonna be like, oh, Fanatics is is working with Beckett. So why not send my cards to them? Or they make a deal where they say, like, you buy Topps Chrome Football 2026 and we will give you a deal on buying on grading to the breakers, to the different companies that they have. Card Vault would need a place to have as a grading company. I work in sourcing and business development for my day job. Nice. And I absolutely love all of this. I'm a nerd with these topics. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I was trying to reference this to my girlfriend, and she was following along, and she thought it made all the sense in the world. And I was like, cool, I'm glad you're understanding this the way that I'm explaining it. And so, yeah, that's my whole thing. Just to kind of recap what I was saying. Hey, what's up, man? Just to recap what I was saying. Fanatics is here, working their way down in their own ecosystem. They've got the Topps license. They've got all the sports license, the major four. Well, besides major four, major three. Oh, they got the major ones, licensing wise. And all they're really missing is a grading company, and they're missing a company that does all of their comps. So they buy market movers. They snag Beckett after this whole lawsuit goes by and Collectors loses them, and that's it. That's ball game. Yeah, seriously, you're doing a great job explaining everything. Thank you so much. I was not sure how this was all gonna go together. I didn't write anything down. I literally just went off of my brain because I was trying to think of how I could get my thoughts out without making it sound scripted. And this was the best option for me, which is a lot easier for me. I did this with stand-up comedy also. I don't even write down my jokes. I just make them up as I go. But yeah, that's where I'm at. And that's what I feel is going to happen. And, you guys can throw that theory out there and let everybody know what's going on. And, tag me in it. And let everybody feel crazy when they're sitting there thinking that these are just ravings of a guy who just think they just hopped into the hobby recently. But I've been in it for a long time. I've collected sneakers. I saw that crash. I collected comic books. That's plateaued and nobody's really messing around with that. I've collected video games. I'm actually looking at most of my collection as I'm saying this. Video games, movies, books, pop figures. I was in that collecting group of people as well. Pop figures have tanked so hard. I'm glad I got rid of the ones that I did at the time, because pop figures were huge at a certain point. But now I'm sitting on a few that I'm kind of like, I'm not really going to get rid of, nor are they really worth getting rid of. But there is one pop figure that I probably will never get rid of. It might be buried with me when I die. It is a Stan Lee Kamikaze, because the LA Comic Con wasn't called LA Comic Con the first year. It was called Stan Lee's Kamikaze. And I have one of those Stan Lee pop figures from Stan Lee's Kamikaze. And wish I would have got it signed when I met Stan Lee, which I got lucky and got to meet him. Hey, what's going on? How you doing? You missed out on my theory, but I'll kind of do a recap of it, and I'll be posting some videos based off of it. But my theory pretty much was that Fanatics is going to end up buying Beckett after this lawsuit goes through with Collectors and they lose their monopoly. They're going to push the nostalgia effect for Beckett, and then they're also going to end up buying some company that is going to do comps for them. So Market Movers will probably be their one that they pick, since it's an East Coast based company and they're doing such an amazing job with what they do. Don't get me wrong, I have no negative words about Market Movers. I use it myself compared to Card Ladder because it's way easier to manage. Some people think it's easier for Card Ladder, but I use Market Movers because it actually works out for me. What if they buy SGC? I doubt it. I see them using the nostalgia factor with Beckett. I don't see them buying SGC. Yeah, SGC's in Florida. I totally understand that. But I think because Beckett, and cheaper, yeah, but I think because Beckett is our grandfather's our grading company, or like our pricing company, the nostalgia factor of it will be the whole thing for them to use Beckett. They'll upgrade it. They'll probably end up keeping like the gold label that'll have the Beckett and everything, but they'll end up making it to where it appeals to everyone. So they'll do the whole thing. Beckett has market value. SGC, Beckett has market value. SGC has the market value, but it's not like Beckett. Like, you're right. SGC has a very little market value. You can make some good money off of SGC cards, don't get me wrong. But when you see a Beckett 9.5 and you compare that to a PSA 10, that's a no-brainer. You grab Beckett, you make that your grading company, SGCUs, so they can revive it. Yeah, see, but I don't know if they want to do the legwork. I think they put too much money into SGC to try to make it their like gold standard. And I really feel like Beckett would definitely be, exactly, millennials love the nostalgia. So what they're going to do is they would get Beckett, they put out Beckett magazine still. They bring back like all of the things that you loved from Beckett as a kid. And then they've got the grading company, and you've grabbed me. Hell, I would go and grade my cards with Fanatics if they owned Beckett, because I'm like, wow, they got me from the nostalgia point of things. Like, I could go to SGC and turn my cards into that, but SGC's got a long ways to build. SGC is going to be the vintage wing of PSA eventually. Yep, they might, and if they don't lose them, that will probably be what will happen to them. Do you think they will make BGS easy grades? Because people like PSA and SGC because they're easier to get 10s. You know what? I think they'll keep it the same standard. Beckett will actually be the same standard. And so what they'll do is it'll be the same thing, but they'll just push that nostalgia factor of everything. They're just going to make it to where everybody's going to enjoy seeing, like, they'll probably do some big gaudy thing where it's like the mantle cards in there and all these old cards that they had graded, and they'll suck us in. Literally, they're going to get everybody with that nostalgia factor and be like, remember when Beckett was like this? Or remember that Beckett magazine that you used to use to price your cards? It writes itself. Hell, if they want, like I said, I was mentioning it earlier, if they want, they could ask me to do it and I'd write it up for them and I'd make something that would make grown men weep. And, and then we would all of a sudden, grown men and women weep, and we would all of a sudden see them just build the biggest marketing campaign behind that. See, you're onto something here. Thank you. Because BGS 9.5 is harder to get at this point than a PSA 10. Okay, so we've gotten to a point when it comes to grading where we are so in love with the PSA 10 that we think that we deserve it with everything, when we don't. A BGS 9.5 does not mean perfection. A BGS 9.5 means close to perfection, but it's just the amount of perfection that you need for us to compete with a PSA 10. They're not giving a 10 to something, and then all of a sudden you're hearing you're seeing flaws, and you're seeing people who are just like, oh, I have a prime example of that. This company, I have no clue who this is. The company, not the card. The player, I know who it is. This is a 10 in their eyes. Now, if I were to break this open and send it over to PSA, I bet you PSA would probably knock this down to a 9, maybe even an 8. Looking at this card, there are a few little things that I've seen where you can tell that this card is not a 10 to the standards of PSA or BGS. This other company made it a 10. I can break this open, send it out, and I won't get a 10 off of it. And if I get lucky and did get a 10, there's a lot of things in this card that I've looked at that don't make any sense why I got a 10. Fanatics is going to screw it up. It's what they do best. You know what? I think if they truly feel like they're going to have the joy of collecting, like they said in their the Tops conference that they had, Top Industry Conference, I think that if they were to build their nostalgia level up, they could easily not screw this up. But it's about money for most of them. It's about the breakers breaking all of their product, the breakers buying all of their product, the breakers selling all of their product, them marketing. Breakers are marketing for free for these guys that I'm aware of. But they're probably getting a deal for like buying 1 million cases or whatever it is. So it's just very difficult. Easy 10s isn't necessarily a good thing. That's why Beckett's black. I think that's it could be wrong for sure. No, Beckett does have there's a black label for them if I'm not mistaken, and it's worth more than a PSA 10. Exactly. You don't need to work so hard to build something that is going to completely change the game. You get Beckett, you make that slight adjustment of making the pricing worth it for people and making the turnaround times way better. You've already won the game. You don't even have to do any of the like heavy lifting. You can market this directly to the people who are in the industry, and you are going to have those kids of us millennials. You're going to have those parents. You're going to have our parents, and then you're going to have our kids following suit in that, and they've already got something built. They don't even have to work that hard for it. It's an Etsy 10. Yeah, that's it seems like it came off of Etsy, but I got a hell of a deal on those cards, and the rookie cards for RJ Barrett. So I was just like, I'll grab them. I think I bought them for like $2, and I think I paid like $5 shipping for it. They have the joy of collecting money. They don't care about nostalgia. That's marketing. Exactly. They're gonna market it in a way to where they're gonna suck people in. They're gonna this can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. Like I said, this is just totally a theory on what I think they could go with. It could be great if they do it right and they make it worth the while of the collector by giving this at this much at least to the collector. Don't push this for like breaks and stuff. They probably do that to marketing and make more money, but push this to the collector. Make this something that the collector will actually be able to have as an attainable possibility, instead of doing it where it's like, we need to make millions of more money off of people, so let's do this. We're going to bring in that nostalgia factor, and then we're just going to rip everybody off. If they want to get the collector back, this is the way that they would do it. I like BGS slabs. Way better than PSA slabs. I've shifted and went back to PGS. Yeah, it's a good call. BGS does have some really nice slabs. Like I said, like we were mentioning, it's a little bit more difficult to get a BGS 10. It's a little bit more difficult to BGS 9.5. But you figure the style of those slabs are unforgettable. Actually, do I have any laying around here? I think I do. I have a few cards that I have in BGS. Just because when I go on eBay, I like to buy styles of different cards all over the place. Don't reinvent the wheel. Utilize what's out there already. Exactly. Why? If it's not broke, don't fix it. Etsy 10 is my favorite comment of the night. That is a good one. I'm gonna have to borrow that. That is definitely. I think I'm gonna do a post of this card, and I'm gonna call it an Etsy 10, and I will tag Dark Sky Chaser in there. Let's see. Who filed lawsuit and when does it end? You know what? I got to do some more research on there. I know there was a lawsuit filed by I think the United, like somebody in Congress might have filed it, or it was somebody. There was somebody who it's like it's probably some like one of the companies who control like monopolies for industry and whatnot. It was very weird. What's going on? CGC is what I PC. There you go. Okay. When I personally grade cards, yeah, I PC everything. I use CGC. I buy CGC cards. I have SGC cards. I have companies I have no idea what they are. And then when I look at like some of the nostalgia of things, when I grab a Beckett card, so for instance, this card right here, Malcolm Subban, it is out of 100. It's his Young Guns card, a 9.5. I grabbed this, and I think I probably got it for less than, maybe a little bit over $20. But Malcolm Subban's a great player. He doesn't get as much credit as he deserves. His brother usually gets the spotlight for him, so it's a little rough. But I have that card because I liked it, and I thought it was a cool card, and it was a heck of a deal. And even in that Beckett casing, it looks amazing. Having the gold upper deck exclusive with the gold 9.5 in there. See, Beckett, this is a classic style. You can go with this style, and this style doesn't get old. You look at something like this, PSA has a nice little case on it, but like what feels like you have a little bit more of you get like a different feeling when you look at these. You look at these and you get like, oh, I'm gonna sell these at a card show, and these are just gonna be the epicenter of like what we're gonna base everything off of. You look at this and it's just like, you know what? This is a standard that you're setting right here. If you set the price right and you actually make it affordable for people and you move with the times, this could be a completely different situation. Yeah, and I don't have any SGC or BGS 10s, unfortunately. Oh wait, no, I lied. I have two. And they're hockey. So there's the 10 there. And then both autos, I ended up grabbing these off of eBay randomly. Somebody wasn't really either paying attention or they just were trying to get rid of them. And those are my only BGS 10s that I have. It happens. Average collector has a limited budget, especially nowadays. Yeah. Breakers and the like have deep pockets and buy bulk. Till they don't, it'll be the hobby and its focus. Yeah. It's an unfortunate situation, but yeah, we are seeing a shift with the minute somebody said this will 10x, and the minute Gary Vee decided he wanted to throw out there that we should buy Giannis cards, and that trading cards is going to be the future of things, and you've got all of his followers who decided that they were going to be like, hey, he's saying it, so let's do it, which were a lot of bros, no offense of anybody, no mean to offend, but you got a lot of guys who were following drinking that Kool-Aid of him, and like he was so motivational speaking and everything, and a lot of people fell into that, and it was just kind of a bummer. And so that's where we're at right now, and that was the true start of it, is COVID and the whole, I would say, Gary Vee effect. I don't think Fanatics would buy it, though it doesn't make sense. PSA made $300 million last year. Fanatics made $10 billion. It felt like it was too small for them to focus on. See, I think it can be something that might seem like it's too small for them to focus on, but I really feel like if they wanted to push out PSA and really focus on being number one, they do it themselves. Like, they may have made all that money, but who's to say that they're not wanting to make more? They're a business. They're a company that is just wanting, they're gonna make the money no matter what. And Fanatics just seems like they want to make money. It's just money, 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 money. Look at all the stuff that they're doing. Look at the way that they're promoting their products. The minute they can get a grading company under the Fanatics umbrella, that's just more money for them. So it's not like it's a never ending cycle for them. Vintage just looks better in a SGC tux. Okay. I'll give everybody an example of some vintage in the SGC. Now, granted it's a 1, but still. This is before they called him Kareem. Looks good. It's a nice set. Don't get me wrong. I love SGC's casing, but if you want to build nostalgia and you want to bring people back, they're gonna try to figure that out. And nostalgia is a huge thing right now. SEC made maybe for the lawsuit. I believe the SEC is involved in the lawsuit. Yeah, that is a classic look for sure. Yes, you see the Beckett. It means something. Respect your elders. True, right? I keep saying it. Roll back to hobby to the pre-Gary V. I believe we had that conversation off of here. Yes, you're right. We need to roll it back for sure. The minute somebody said we're going to 10x the hobby, I knew we were in trouble. And I knew it was no longer going to be a hobby. I knew it was going to be the business of the hobby. So yeah, we got to roll it back. And I think there's enough people out there who can definitely put their foot down and make it to where these breakers can't control the market. These companies can't control the market. They can't force us to buy a product that isn't for the collector. It's for the rush. And gambling and the addiction of things really kills it. Like, there's people out there who have real issues with addiction and real issues with gambling. And I think that this is only feeding that monster and causing a lot of problems. I really hope that one day they actually get it together, which it probably won't, because it's just another business company or another business that makes millions of dollars and doesn't really care about the well-being of people. It's just who can we sell to and what money can we make off of it. But I really do feel like if they really wanted to try to save this hobby and they wanted to make sure that it was a hobby for everyone, they would focus on ways of trying to prevent the level of gambling that is happening and the level of addiction that is happening to people. So there's people who are addicted to getting into these breaks, spending all this money, wasting pretty much their life savings on buying something that, might not even have a turnaround or ROI on it for them. And so they just keep going in thinking that they're going to get it. It's just like going to a casino. So I'm hoping that one day they can feel like they can actually focus on that and say, hey, we want to make sure that this hobby is protected for people. But as of right now, it doesn't look like they're doing that. I really like how Beckett looks. PSA is just bland, and the grading to me is very iffy. You're preaching to the choir there. The grading for me is pretty iffy, and I was in the room, and and just to touch on that, if you saw the Boston Card Hunter thing, this is kind of where my whole thing kind of took off. I did that interview. I told a few of the things that I had seen from my own personal experience. I said nothing that was going to be malicious or deterring for PSA. I wasn't trying to tear them down or trying to build up to like, hey, I'm the PSA killer. That wasn't it. It literally was my experience in PSA. There was a lot of things that I didn't see, a lot of things that I wasn't able to be involved in. I wish I would have got hired by the company. But I'm also kind of okay with not being hired by the company with the heat that they're taking right now. I'd have to explain it to a lot of people, and the people that actually work there, I don't see anybody coming forward and talking about it. So, yeah, PSA does have a little bit of a weird look to it. It's not a cult, but no, it will be. Fanatics Fest will end up starting. That'll be the first part of their religious cult. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That is one of my favorite cards. I had that as a cover for my Instagram or no YouTube page for the longest time. Fanatics is all about vertical integration. Own every step of the process. Exactly. And that would be one of the steps of the process. They could own a grading company, and that would be what they need. That's it. Yeah, they're just missing grading. Thank you. Do you think that no PSA month thing is actually going to work or actually work? You know what? How often? Okay, so I have a stance on protesting. I protested a lot with everything from you name it. I had gone to lobbying over at the state capitol, everything else. Protests work when you do them right, but you have to be a unified front when it comes to protesting. You can't have the stragglers. You can't have the people who are going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to send all of my cards in April, and then in May, I'm not going to send any more cards. That kind of defeats the purpose because you're already going through the process of things. So you could kill them for a month by not sending in cards, but you're going to have those people who are going to constantly go against the grain. They're going to be like, that's crap. I can make all my money off of PSA because it's the standard. So I'm going to send my cards in no matter what. If we could get a united front of people to not send in cards, that's the only way that it would actually work. Let's see, your interview completely changed how I look at cards and grading. Thank you very much. I'm glad that helped. Healing my eyes too. I'm with you there. Thank you. And like I wasn't trying to be malicious or anything. I just wanted to tell my experience of it and give everybody an idea what was actually going on. But like I was saying with the no PSA May, I don't think it will work. I feel like it can work, but you have too many breakers who have sponsorships through PSA. You've got Burbank. They have a PSA booth inside of their business. You've got Cards HQ. They have a PSA booth inside of their business. They're going to be pushing that no matter what. So you're not going to get those two sections of the world. You're going to end up getting a few people who probably have to send them in who don't have it close to their home. You get a few people who sell them regularly, or you're going to get the breakers who are going to break all these cards and offer, hey, we can get you PSA graded. We'll just send your card off for you. I believe it could happen if everybody's on the same page, but you've got too many different sides in this. You've got too many people who are loyalists to PSA and breaking and everything. And then you got the people who are part of the collecting community who want to get those cards graded to have that feel of a card. And it's just too much. I think it can work. Like I said, if it's a unified front, but I don't think it can work I don't think it will work. I think he's going to push super hard for that to happen. And I don't think it's going to pan out. Define work. I guarantee PSA is paying attention either way. I'd give anything to be in the room where it happens right now. Hey, I'd give anything to be in the room as well. The meaning define work as in like what I did there, because the work that was there seemed pretty laid back and easy. It might have been more difficult just trying to grade the cards, but a lot of the things that I saw a little bit of the workings of things, but nothing set in stone, or nothing like secretive. Fanatics Live pushes CGC with an in-house grading. Exactly. So they have a partnership with CGC, but CGC I don't think will sell to them. I think it's just a partnership. I don't think that they have any sort of handhold in CGC where they could use them as like, this is our company that we can grade with. If they had an opportunity to buy Beckett, I think that would be their way of being able to have their own grading company. Then they could just tell CGC to go do their own thing, and they can make more money off of it. Because I'm pretty sure they're probably going to get, like most companies, more of a percentage off of like, hey, send your cards to CGC. CGC is going to give us a percentage of us sending our cards to you. And then, you know, you might get some deals in here and there. But if you can own your own grading company, why not do it? In my opinion, I don't think we would be enough people to be able to make a difference with the no PSA month. There are other ways to make a difference, and they are too long to type. Yes, I feel like there are other ways that we can make a difference in that. The month, taking a month off from not sending cards to PSA, we still are backlogged. Like, they are backlogged. I don't work for them. So like just slip of the tongue there. I don't work for them. They still are backlogged. They're still talking about how many cards they got to get caught up with. We're still going to see numbers in May. We're still going to see people seeing, like, they're going to be like, oh, why is it that all of a sudden, like, they're still making 1 million cards that they're grading a week? Because they still got stuff that they have to grade. Unless we can turn that month into the amount of cards that they have to backlog to grade, and that we would add on to that and stop all of that from happening, we're not going to stop it. Like, that month, they're still going to put out gem rate numbers. It won't work. No work in terms of boycotting working. Yeah, boycotting working. I don't think boycotting would be a changing force. Optics, however, has a shot. Optics does have a shot. Boycotting it, I don't think will be the end all be all of PSA. Like, there's people who have boycotted plenty of things. Target's still around. Good night. Enjoy the content. Keep it up. Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Dude, I love your setup. Your setup was awesome. I had to mention that, and I was going to repost it, but that setup was pretty cool. I dig that. But have a good night. Yeah, they gotta get hit. You want to hit somebody hard, you hit them in their pocketbook, and you just got to stop altogether. It would have to be a united front of people to do that. And I don't think that we have enough people, or there are enough people who could cause that big of a damage to them. They just have too much going on. Agreed, they have been strategic in how to make it hurt. Unfortunately, boycotting in this age won't work. No, it won't. No. We are all on the same page. Yes, I'm glad that we're in a group of people who actually are talking about the same stuff. But it would be very difficult. Boycotting them would not benefit anybody. Like, to them, they're just going to look at it and be like, hey, okay, fine. You group of people are going to boycott us, and that's that. We still got a backlog of cards that we have to grade. We're still going to keep grading our stuff. Hey, what's going on? How you doing? I was mentioning earlier on, we've been on this for quite some time now, and we've been getting deep into the woods about things, and we were talking about how Fanatics is going to be making some moves, how I think my theories of Fanatics making some moves are going to consist of Fanatics buying Beckett once the lawsuit with collectors goes through, and they lose Beckett and they lose SGC. SGC will go back to being its own company, rebuild its reputation. They'll find somebody or have the other president come back, and he'll do the promotions like he used to do, and they'll gain their following. But I have a feeling that Fanatics is going to end up getting Beckett, and then what they're going to do is use the nostalgia factor to bring all of us into that. Now, we're obviously not everybody's going to fall into it, but yeah, that was just some of the stuff that I was throwing out there as a theory. So that was my whole thing with the theory earlier. So just that in a nutshell. But hopefully everybody's having a good night, and that it's been we've been having a really good really good conversation about things. Yeah, so I'm gonna put those theories out there and make some more videos and stuff, letting people know that this is what I'm thinking, and this, who knows, might as well throw it out there and see if somebody else sees it. And if they really feel like it's something that could be beneficial, then sure, use it. But I just feel like we're running into a position to where Fanatics is going to want their own grading company, and they're going to want their own comping company. So market movers might be something. And I just think, like we were talking about also with the BGS, a few people brought up that why wouldn't they go for SGC? I think SGC, because it's such a young company, and it doesn't have the nostalgia of BGS, then that it doesn't make any sense. I need to go to bed. Loving the combo. It's been awesome for sure, and keep it up. You're onto something for sure. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Get some almost 10:30 over there. No, is it almost 10:30 over there? About 9:30. But yeah, get some rest. Have a good night. So yeah, that was my theory, and that I'm seeing a lot of different things that I'm just sitting back and watching. This whole week I've sat back and watched the way that people have pretty much torn down Whatnot, pretty much, what was it? It was Whatnot, pretty much just went after PSA about everything, and we had no word said negatively about Fanatics, with the exception of kind of here and there things that would pop in. But, yeah, they still owe me, a card, for sure. I have a card that I put in, this one, right here. I put this in back in February of last year, and now that Uncle Howdy is no longer part of the WWE, what am I going to do with this card? So hopefully they can give me a substitute for it. I'm out to catch up with y'all next time. Cool theory, though. It would be interesting to see. Yeah, thank you. You enjoy the rest of your evenings, and thanks for popping in. I appreciate that. Hopefully we can get this out there, and yeah. I'm just putting it out there because there's a lot of people who have been talking, and a lot of people who aren't looking at it from the perspective that I'm looking at it at. And I have a feeling that this theory is gonna kind of feed into something. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, should be good. But yeah, that's another thing. I have a card of Uncle Howdy that I was supposed to get, and I'm not getting that now probably because he no longer wrestles for WWE. I'm going to have to find that substitute. I'm going to have to find out how I can get the substitute, because you can't even do that on the Topps website. You can't even just type it in and say, hey, I want a substitute for this. But awesome. I'm glad everybody enjoyed the theory, and don't think that I'm a crazy person. How's it going? I'm glad everybody kind of chimed in on that. And it's nice to have these conversations with level-headed people, because you're always going to get those people who are so hell-bent on being like the yes men of Topps and the yes men of Fanatics and the yes men of PSA, who are going to defend it to the day they die, but at the same time not think on a logical level of like what could possibly happen and what is actually happening. I think PSA will be fine after all of this. They may lose SGC and they may lose Beckett, but I think they're going to be fine. You're still going to have those people that are going to be their loyalists, who are still going to grade with them, who are still going to do their thing with them. They're going to get back to a level area. They're going to continue doing what they're doing, and that's going to be that for them. But I really do feel like that. I really do feel like Beckett, once they're available, Fanatics is going to jump on them, put out the nostalgic marketing of everything, feed everybody this whole level of nostalgia. And like, hey, remember when you used to go through this magazine and this was the top of the top type thing? What will happen to SGC in your opinion? I think SGC will be fine too. Honestly, I think SGC, if they were smart, I think SGC should bring back their previous president, because that was the dumbest idea they could possibly do by getting rid of him, because he was the face of SGC. If collectors would have kept him around and told him, do what you're doing and we'll leave you alone, that would have been amazing. They probably wouldn't have had to have these issues, and they would have just kept continuing to grow and get bigger. But I think SGC will be fine. I think SGC will either bring back their original president, or I don't know if he'll be willing to come back. Yeah, I understand that completely, but I think his reasoning for leaving was because collectors pushed him out. I don't think it was because they made the decision on that from SGC's perspective. But I think if they were to get him or somebody along those same lines to come back and push SGC the way they were, I think SGC would have been a number 2 company, or at least it was still been it was a top 3 I think it would still stay in the top 3. I think it can continue to be in the top 3 because it is a good company and they do have great looking cards, and their promotions were top of the line. Like, if we imagine if Collectors would have just said, SGC, do your own thing. Imagine what we could have done. They could have been like, Topps Chrome Football, send in your cards for $15. We will grade your cards. Our turnaround times will be 10 to 20 days or whatever their crazy amount was. And they would have made a killing right now. And Collectors, if they were smart, they could have continued that and just got out of their own way. Because right now they have got too many hands in the pies, and everybody's trying to feed off and make more money. They literally could have made a killing by just letting SGC do what they did. Instead, they wanted to sour their market and make it to where like you couldn't grade with SGC, and SGC wasn't one of the top of the line companies because they were catching up to PSA, if I'm not mistaken. But then when they got bought, Collectors pretty much just said, well, okay, you guys are going to be a boutique grading company. If we don't want it, we're going to send it to you. What? You guys, PSA could have made Collectors could have made so much more money by giving SGC the reins of how they were doing things. Keep it separate. What does it matter? You still have SGC. Keep it separate. Let them do the thing that they were doing. You guys would have still made more money. But what did you do? You wanted to be the top dog. And so instead of just, if you can't beat them, join them kind of a philosophy, you kind of just sat there and like, we're just going to beat it to the ground until it goes away. I don't understand. And these people like money so much, but they do the dumbest things. It's the silliest thing. That marketing for SGC was the best. I will admit. I would want to send my cards to SGC every time I saw him go, hey, thanks for sending your cards in to us. We're doing a deal right now where if you have Topps Chrome Baseball, you can get it for $12 graded, and your turnaround times are going to be 10 to 20 days or 15 to 20 days. What? There's so much money that could be made in that. And yet they decided, let's just kill it and let's just make it to where they're just like a side project for us. So you took out your competition, yes, but you also took yourself out by doing something stupid, by not making it to where you can market it the best way possible. I might be crazy for that thought, but also at the same time, I've lived long enough to know that if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like, it wasn't broken. You guys broke it. PSA Collectors broke it, and they didn't even try to fix it. It was like the clock that's on my wall right here. I could just easily put batteries in it, but it's at least right two times a day. So I don't know. I think SGC will be fine if they can get on their own, if they can get back to what they were and get on their own feet. I think they'll be good. But yeah. So that's my theory. That's the ravings of of myself. I just wanted to put that out there, and everybody who was in the room, thank you for being in there. And everybody who was listening, thank you for listening, and all the questions and the comments. And I think it's great. I think I'm going to end up doing a live at least once a week, possibly Saturdays, just because everybody's, either most of us are not out. I'm not, but that's also because I'm old. But I think every Saturday I'll probably do a live and give my theories on things and give my perspective on things. Thank you. But yeah, you guys have a great night. I know everybody kind of went to bed, and anybody who's on the East Coast, have a good night. I know it's super late for you guys. Anybody who's on the West Coast, it's not even 8 o'clock yet, and if you're already in bed, I completely understand. But I'm gonna try to go watch. I was watching WNBA earlier, and I might just try to see if there's an NHL game on, just to kind of see where that's going. I'm rooting for the Ducks, but I don't think that's going to be a good time for them. That one game that they just won was good, but I think McDavid's going to come out and ready to wreck house on this next one. So we'll see what happens. If they're playing at home, I'll hear all the noise right down the street. So have a good night, guys. I will see you later. Thanks for listening in. Take it easy.